Welcome to the MSP Corner podcast. Before we kick off our show, we would like to share what our main objective is at the MSP Corner. Our main goal is to help CEOs build profitable and self-sustainable IT service firms. We are not just providing tools for IT firms, we will be sitting in meetings with you to ensure your IT firm stays on track. The first area we are focused on, strategic sales. IT firms are stuck selling technology or IT support. We will provide you with the blueprint so you position your firm as an added value to your prospects. We will have framework on how to sell value so you influence the prospect into selecting your firm. The second area we see many IT firms struggle in is marketing. 90+% of businesses rely on antiquated marketing methods. The most popular choice, word of mouth. We have proven methods on how to attract the ideal prospect. Our framework will include how to become the online authority and be the business influencer for an industry. The third component to our package, scaling. IT firms walk away from opportunities because they lack the bandwidth or skill set to scale. We have lined up reputable businesses so our members can hire on-demand resources that will allow them to scale their business. The fourth area we will offer help in, selecting the right tools. In order to deliver value, you need the right tech stack. Our platform will offer information on products that are the ideal choice for MSPs. The fifth area we will offer help in is with documentation. Templates are a critical component when building an MSP. We will have contracts, proposals, SOWs, collateral, and much more in the template section. You will have every document you need to start up your managed IT service business. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go to our next podcast. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into our podcast. I am your host, Fernando Leon. I'm joined by my co-host, Gregory Moravietz. And before we introduce our guest, here's a quick summary on the company. N-able is the global leader in IT service management and cybersecurity. They are committed to helping their partners' needs by delivering a powerful, easy-to-use product portfolio designed to increase the efficiency of MSPs and IT professionals throughout the world. Now, we have two special guests, and let me first start with Stefanie Hammond. She is the head nerd that focuses on all things sales and marketing related. She will be celebrating her 20-year anniversary at N-able. Congratulations. And she's been working in the MSP industry for, some time now. So, and then our second guest is Jason Murphy, and he is also one of the head nerds at N-able. And Jason's impressive career spans over a quarter of a century, during which he has navigated the complexities of corporate IT and made a significant impact on multiple managed service providers. His expertise was recognized at CRN-rated Top 20 MSP, where he led security and technology initiatives. He has been a partner or has been working with N-able for the past 10 years. And before we get started, let me just go over the agenda just real quick here. We'll get one of the guests will go give us a quick overview on N-able for those that are not familiar with the N-able organization, the value they offer MSPs, automation, why data analytics is important, dynamics of remote support, key trends the nerds see coming, educational resources, cybersecurity complexities, how the N-able product increases client satisfaction, how their platform increases efficiency, discussion on what makes MSPs best in class, profits and cash flow, solving the operational struggle, and then we'll share that URL at the end there. All right, so for those that are not familiar with the N-able product, who can give us a quick overview on how powerful your tool is and the value it brings to the MSPs.
Well, we have a lot of tools here at Enable, but I'm also known as the N-Central nerd. So selfishly, I could always start with that one if you want.
Yeah, yeah, let's do
Oh,
it.
okay. So Enable has an RMM platform in the form of N-Central, and I am the one of the head nerds, along with another head nerd. His name is Paul Kelly, for that particular platform. And that platform's been around for almost 25 years. I think we kicked that off in the year 2000. So there's been close to 25 years of development in that RMM. And again, RMM is such a, I would call it an antiquated term for what RMMs actually do. I mean, the reporting tools, yes, they do remote control and monitoring and obviously management, but there's cybersecurity tools, right? They're automation platforms and they're orchestrators for things like patch management. So that is what we're highly focused on within Central.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Because one of my questions was going to be about the implementation of automation strategies
Mhm.
for MSPs. Can you touch a little bit on that? Because let me tell you, that saves a lot of time for the guys. It saves a lot, the guys on at our end are very happy with the automation tools. So maybe you can share just a little bit on that, just so people that are not familiar with your product, you can give them a quick overview on that automation strategy.
Sure. I mean, I could talk probably the entire hour on automation, but it is probably one of the most asked questions that I get. You know, we know we're doing stuff with automation, but I feel like we could do a better job. Or how do I get started with automation? And I always tell partners, look to your PSA. It is the foundation of where all your ticketing information is. Look to that, report on it, find your key trends, find your worst offenders. First of all,
Hmm.
obviously
Hmm.
you might have the biggest customer, but they could be quiet. Whereas you could have small customers that are 5 to 10 seats that are just generating more and more tickets. And then from there, what you do is start developing solutions, right? What is proactive automation? What is reactive automation?
Yeah.
For example, I had a car dealership, a consortium of dealerships across the province of Ontario, and their finance team had QuickBooks. And they were generating at least 3 to 5 tickets, probably close to a day. I would say about 15 a week because it was such a frustrating platform for them. Things weren't backing up, they couldn't load. Anyways, long story short, that is where I started with automation. I really just wanted to kind of reduce the noise to improve the satisfaction of that particular customer. And that is what I always kind of focus on is like, what is automation going to have the biggest impact, right? Reduce the noise, improve your NPS scores or your CSATs. That is exactly where, you need to start with automation.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that automation, and this is the same type of feedback I get from other CEOs of IT firms, that automation and following a certain procedure and policies helps reduce that noise, helps reduce open tickets, because patching and a lot of automation can reduce those support calls. And you know what? When you have no support calls, you have happy clients, because who likes to be on a tech support call? So I like to tell my guys, or the CEOs that I meet with, that you gotta have a mindset of, you don't want your clients to have problems. So you got to do everything you can in order to make that happen. And automation helps with that. So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah.
But I mean, problems are inevitable. I mean, that's
Yep.
why we get hired for these kinds of things, right?
Yep.
So as
Yep.
MSPs, so when there are problems, look to those problems. And if you have a little bit of background in ITIL, there is something called problem management. And when you can understand what problem management is, it really allows you to dial in and focus and strategize.
Mm, mm. So tell us a little bit on the role of data analytics and how Enable helps MSPs leverage that data to make informed business decisions.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
who
So I
likes
mean,
to look, Brian? Is this the reporting side? Because man, who likes reading reports?
no, well, sometimes business owners do, especially
Yeah.
when MSPs have to look after them. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
one of the things I used to get from a lot of customers, like, yeah, I'm paying you $2,000, but I don't know what you're doing for me.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that'd be after like 2.5, 3 years of us doing business together. I'd be
Wow.
surprised to be like, okay, but we're doing these quarterly business reviews. I'm kind of telling you that's not enough. Telling the stakeholder what you're doing for them is just not enough. You have to have reporting, and it has to be rich reporting. So what we've done here at Enable is we've built Power BI directly into our RMM, and that's
Okay.
been a game changer, especially with a lot of our larger MSPs because they need deep reporting,
Yeah.
and that analytics, that insight scales. I mean,
Mm.
it's also about the MSP, being able to figure out opportunities, right?
Sure.
Because
Sure.
you have the RMM on all of their assets. We have another product called Cloud Commander, which works with Microsoft Azure, Intune, and Entra ID. So there's visibility there. But when you can correlate all of this information together and put together a really concise, executive summary,
Hmm.
the devil's in
Hmm.
the details, and that's really where MSPs can really shine and show their value. Because
Yeah.
yeah, if you're doing a great job and it's quiet to that customer, they still don't know what you're doing for them. So you have to expose that, right? And that's where MSPs are today. That's that evolution of where managed services has gone over, I would say, at least the last 10 years, is that it's not just break fix, right? You're now
Yep.
managing the trusted advisor, as we call it. You're getting in there and working with them. You might be even in their business meetings. So it's important to, as that, you know virtual CIO, as I call it, the VCIO program, get in there and really kind of show your value around technology, because I'm sure you're aware, IT was always looked at as a cost center, right? And
Hmm.
MSPs are
Hmm.
looked to a cost center. But when
Yep.
you can actually change that to a value center, that's when that partnership becomes more apparent.
Yep. Now, even though they don't have any problems, you still suggest they produce a report that says, look, we were able to predict it, a potential disruption to your network. Do you provide that type of information in the reporting, or when somebody doesn't have any problems, what do you report on? What
Yeah,
would just give us a 50,000 foot overview, because I don't want.
sure. Yeah. So first and foremost, we're in the year 2024. It's not like it's 1994 anymore. We have a lot of threats. Cybersecurity is at the foremost front of every business owner's mind. So you actually have to start, cross-functionally putting reports together, right?
Mm,
Now,
mm,
and Central from an RMM perspective can do things like patch management, and we have Cove data protection that is built in, so you can report on that. You can report on things like Sentinel One. So when you can start putting together an entire cohesive picture, that actually puts that, stakeholder, as I'll call it, or maybe business owner or what have you. But when you have that stakeholder who has peace of mind, that they're not going to have a data breach, you're actually affording them some sleep at night. That
yeah.
is why the value has changed, right? The game has changed around that value center, right? So
Yeah.
the reporting is core to that, right? Even if it's quiet, you're doing a
Mm,
great job. They're not calling you up, right? Or maybe you're only getting 1 or 2 tickets a week.
mhm,
But at the same
mhm,
point, where do you start? PSA, RMM. The RMM is kind of the source of truth when it comes to problems, right? Because you're
mhm,
monitoring,
mhm.
right? But you have to
Yep.
collect that in your PSA, and then you have to generate reports. And again, cross functionally putting this all together is obviously a challenge, right? Because you have to, understand how to work with APIs, or you have to start, learning how to use something like Power BI. The good news is, at least in Central, we've got dashboards and reports kind of, that come out of the box. But the good news is you can kind of edit those and change the data flows and everything else. So being able to put it all together is the key, right?
Mm,
Because yeah, you might be doing business with Enable, but you might also have tool sets that aren't in the channel, right? You might be
yep.
using Cisco Umbrella, or DNS filter, or what have you. You still have to collect this information and show the customer exactly what the value is of your tool set, of your technology stack.
Hmm, hmm. That's one of the biggest struggles we have with our own clients is Yeah, we're doing a great job. And Gregory's like, him and his team would love to meet with clients and give those reports. But that's one of the biggest struggles is they're like, hey, nothing's wrong. No need to review reports. So that's one of our struggles, right, Greg? Would you say, or am I a bit off base here?
No, I mean, you go to somebody and you're like, let's talk about like replacing your firewall, and they're all, well, I invented it, because we're in the Silicon Valley, and our customers are startups and mid-sized firms that are technology innovators and technology leaders and technology influencers, and we're like trying to tell them they need to use TLS instead of SSL. It's like, how dare you?
Right. That would
Yeah.
How
that
dare you
definitely
speak to me
that'd
in
be
such a
challenging
manner?
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that. Tell us a little bit how has the Head Nerds support system evolved in response to the changing dynamics of remote work and digital transformation?
I'll try to simplify that as much as possible. As head nerds, we're all kind of these subject matter experts. Stephanie is sales and marketing. Myself and Paul are and central. Mark Andre around automation. We've got Eric Harless, who has been in backup for over 30 years. So the game has changed, and people want to get ramped up. MSPs change all the time. This is a digital evolution. So you
Hmm.
need industry experts who are going to stay on top of this kind of stuff. And of course, I scale. I work with, well, Enable has 25,000 MSPs, and I work with some of the biggest and the best. And it's not just kind of the biggest MSPs are always the best MSPs. I work with some smaller MSPs who are just absolutely dialed in,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Yep.
They've got a business owner, a technical director, and then they have 10, maybe 15 techs under them. But they're
Yep.
doing anywhere from $2 to $5 million in revenue. So
Yep.
they are honed right in. So, and I'm not going to steal anything from Stephanie because she's the guru when it comes to kind of like the sales and marketing operational side. But it's that operational maturity, and again, that's where the head nerds really come in. It's that technical expertise. It's
Okay.
the education and training that we do,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I think I'm close to 20 boot camps that I do over a quarter. I don't know what Stephanie is at, but I'm sure it's pretty close, right? So we're always trying to improve how our MSP partners are working, um, and trying to get the most out of our technology. But it's not just technology. This is a partnership, so we're doing other things as well, right? Like we're like kind of more agnostic type things, like PowerShell training or automation training, right?
Yep.
How are your technicians? Because sometimes you have to hire a younger technician who's right out of college or university. They
Hmm.
have no practical experience. How do you ramp them up? Well, you get them with the head nerds, that
Yep.
kind of thing.
Yep. Yep. No, I agree. I agree.
Mhm.
Well, let me close it up with this last question here because I wanted to dedicate 20 minutes to each one of you.
Mhm.
In what ways, because I think this is a really important question here. In what ways does Enable help MSPs navigate the complexities of cybersecurity? And what tools do you provide to enhance their security posture?
Awesome. I'll start outside of just tools. What I will tell you is we do have a head nerd for security. His name's Lewis. The guy's phenomenal. In fact, Stephanie and I just got back from our Empower event. That's our yearly kind of road show that we do where all of our partners come in, and it was absolutely fantastic. But I will plug Lewis only because he did a security tabletop, and our partners absolutely loved it. So
Mm.
again, as head nerds, it's not just the tools. It's about foundational type stuff. It's about best practices. It's about
Sure.
it's not just the destination, right? It's the journey. It's how you get there. And right, and us as head nerds, take people through that. That being said, tools are important as well, right?
Yep.
MSPs are looking for, the best of cybersecurity tools that are going to protect themselves and their customers, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
also they want something best in class, right?
Mm.
And that's
Hmm.
where and that's really where Enable, I would say, over and Stephanie can probably keep me on the rails, but I think we really started trying to transition Enable into a cybersecurity leader at least probably 5 years ago. It was probably when we first started our relationship around with SentinelOne, right?
Mm,
And an
mm,
EDR product. And then it's been that evolution of partnering with other cybersecurity firms or acquiring them or what have you. So
mhm.
that is really where the tools are. And just to kind of talk about what some of those tools are, won't hit them all, but I'll talk about things like Cove data protection, right? You
Yep,
can have all of the cybersecurity you want, but you know the saying as well as I do. It's not a matter of if, it's when.
yep,
It doesn't
yep,
matter if your customer is small, right? It doesn't matter. People click on things. It's phishing, it's ransomware, it's all over the place. So
yep,
big or small, these nefarious individuals are coming after you and looking for some money, right? Eventually, that's what it comes down to. In most cases, there are other nefarious individuals like hacktivists that do it for other reasons, but when it comes to um, cybersecurity, you got to protect your customer. And that's
yep,
really where our tools like Cove data protection can save your bacon, right?
yep,
Because
yep,
Cove is there to really, as a disaster recovery as a service, protect you so that obviously you can protect your customer and obviously yourselves. But
yep,
again, we also have a new offering in Enable MDR, right? Now, that is a brand new offering, fledgling, because we understand that it's not just about endpoint security, right? Gregory was mentioning earlier, like, we've got firewalls and, you're using kind of antiquated security measures, right? I want to move you from SSL to TLS or MTLS, right? Like there are better ways, right?
yep,
So
yep,
again, taking our partners through things like not just protecting your physical, devices where I can install, SentinelOne on them, right? It's about looking at logs, looking at those firewalls, doing some SIM collection, right? And then correlating all of that data together to paint a really clear cybersecurity picture. And
yep.
that is something that Enable has finally got down very, very well with Enable MDR. And
Mm,
obviously, I did talk about SentinelOne as well. So that particular EDR platform that we have integrated into N-Central has been phenomenal for us. And that's where, all of our partners are kind of clamoring around the migration from, traditional AV products into modern EDR or MDR platforms.
mm. All right. Well, Jason, I appreciate you sharing this wealth of knowledge. I know it's going to hit home with a lot of these guys because a lot of them are on the fence on which tech stack to choose from. And as I mentioned earlier in the day or earlier on the call, is Gregory and his team, they're very happy with the Enable product. I mean, we've been using it for over 2 decades, so that's got to say
Awesome.
something.
Awesome. That's for sure.
they they haven't tossed you guys to the curb yet,
Please
so.
don't.
Yeah,
I'll have a
please don't.
conversation with Gregory.
Well, I appreciate that, and I hope you stick around for our discussion with Stefanie, because we're going to switch gears now and go to Stefanie. And
Awesome.
Stefanie, thanks again.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Congratulations on your upcoming anniversary, which is in November. Is that right?
Yeah, it's coming up. I started in 2004 at
Nice.
Enable. So I like to say when it was Enable the first time around. So it's
Yes.
nice that we're moving forward when we spun out from SolarWinds, that we moved forward with the name Enable because I'm kind of partial to it.
Nice. Nice. All right. Well, let's see tell me, why is it important from a business perspective that MSPs be concerned about improving their organizational and operational efficiencies?
Well, it kind of jumps on what Jason was saying earlier and what you guys are talking about from an automation perspective, right? So I'm the just a little bit of background. Like I am the head nerd that's responsible for all things sales and marketing. So I'm not aligned to a specific tool set. Really, what I do and what my role has always been at Enable is teaching growth strategies, helping MSPs and our partners, kind of take the tool sets that we offer and then how do you build a better MSP out of it? How do you make money off of our tool sets? And so I do focus a lot on the sales and the marketing, but I do have boot camps that do focus on the importance of improving, focusing on automation, working to become a more operationally mature MSP, because there's this chasm that's growing among MSPs. Like Jason and I deal with partners and MSPs all the time, and so and I'm sure Jason would agree with me. Like we do work with MSPs that are growing and evolving, and they're doing a wonderful job of advancing their business forward. But at the other end of the spectrum, there's still this set of MSPs that are barely breaking even when you look at it from an EBITDA standpoint. They're barely generating enough revenue just to invest back into their business, and so they're pretty flatlined when it comes to their growth, or in some cases, they're backtracking in terms of their growth and profitability. And those do tend to be the MSPs that I generally do work with. How can we get ourselves out of that? But the difference really fundamentally between the growing MSPs versus, the MSPs that are pretty stagnant really comes down to how do they run their business. And that comes down to what sort of automation are you putting in place? What sort of operational efficiencies? How are you utilizing your tool sets? Are you standardizing on your tool sets? Are you optimizing your engineers and techs? And so, part of what we do as the head nerd team is helping with that.
Mm, all right. And what do the growing MSPs, the best in class MSPs, do well and do differently than the other MSPs that might be struggling? I mean, you did hit on that a little bit on your past answers. Is it really more about the operational efficiencies, and is there another area that they do very well, like marketing and selling value instead of tech services? Because we get on our
yes
soapbox and
yes and yes. Yeah, it comes down to all of that. And but I think, even taking it to a more broader level, the growing MSPs, the best in class MSPs, the ones that are getting the double digit growth, they're the ones that, and maybe it's just they're a little bit bigger so they can afford or have a little bit of luxury, but they're the ones that kind of step back and they spend time working on their business.
yeah.
So they're ones that they're working on their strategic plans. They're developing a roadmap for their MSP. They're constantly looking and surveying the market landscape for threats and opportunities. And then what they're doing is they're modifying the roadmaps, and they're modifying their organizational priorities just to reflect on what they're seeing. So they're not the type of MSPs that just go out and wing it. They're the ones that really do have that vision for their MSP. They have that focus, that direction. They know where they want to take their business. They know what their exit strategy is, and it's all mapped out so that every decision that they make is getting them one step closer so that they can see their vision materialize and that exit strategy come to fruition. So yes, it does mean that they have just structured and they've organized, their MSP in a way that helps drive efficiency. So they are utilizing, all the automation that's available in all of our tool sets. But they also have a very good understanding of what's needed to properly plan for their growth. They know what needs to be done from a sales perspective. What do they need to do to increase their revenues? They price their programs correctly. They have standardized programs. They implement price increases. So operationally efficient is yes, but they also are doing all those other things as well.
Yeah, I just see so many CEOs of IT. I say there's two types of CEOs out there. You have a techie CEO, and then you have a business CEO, right?
Yes.
One is working in his business, and the other one is working on their business. And
Exactly.
we're trying to change that mindset on the MSP corner, because if you want to build a sustainable IT or MSP, you need to start focusing on other areas other than stop working with the shiny new object
Yeah.
and being knowledgeable on every technology out there. There are more important things than that. There, you got to delegate, and we see that struggle. We see it.
Oh,
It's oh gosh.
it's the whole reason why I started 20 years ago at Enable is because our founders recognized who our customers were, and they noticed that the companies and the people that were buying our products mostly had a technical background. So they know technology, they know how to fix computers. That is perfectly within their wheelhouse, but there was no real business acumen there. There was no sales acumen there in terms of, okay, well, I have this shiny new object. How do I make money off of it?
Yeah.
And so 20 years
Exactly.
ago, they brought me in. I was the very first, I was called a partner development specialist back then. But the whole idea, because I'm not technical, I always joke that I'm the one nerd that does not belong in the team because I am not technical. But I was brought in, I think, because of that, because I often in my boot camps will say, okay, look, I'm a non-technical business owner. So I'm gonna give it to you from my perspective, right? Don't talk to me about the gadgets and the widgets and the knobs and the everything that this thing can do. I need you to tell me, how is it going to benefit my business? So it's really, I joke that I spend a lot of my time just teaching MSPs that are more technically minded. How do you speak the love language of a CEO? How do you talk in a language that they are going to understand? And that's about, how do you make me more competitive? How do you make me more profitable? How do you make me save my money? How do you make my employees safe, secure, and productive? Like that's what you do with the tool sets that you have.
Yep. No, you and I are singing the same tune, because that's what I'm all about.
Yes. So
Right?
hopefully 20 years in, hopefully I still have another 10 years to go.
All right. All right. Well, if let me go to this next question, because I think it's a good one. If an MSP is struggling with their profitability or cash flow, what lessons can they learn from their more organizational and operationally efficient counterparts?
Yeah, and a lot of this just comes from, first taking a moment to step back from your business. You talk to the MSPs that are very strategically minded, and they will tell you that they put themselves in a timeout. They'll put themselves on a retreat, and they'll pull themselves away from their business, and they will go away for a day, a couple of days. I've had some MSPs tell me they'll go for a week or so. But it's just this idea that if you really do want to move your business beyond just a lifestyle type of business, then you do need to start setting time aside in your calendar for that type of strategic development. And then conducting kind of an honest assessment of your MSP, and start, if you're not doing this today, start putting some key performance indicators in place so that you can start benchmarking to really see how you're doing. At Enable, one of the programs that we do offer is we have a business transformation program that's run by our colleagues Chris Massey and Robert Wilburn. And part of that business transformation program is a benchmarking. So we have about 250 different partners that are participating in it today. But doing a benchmark, if you've never done anything like this for your MSP before, is just going to give you a wealth of information, because you don't know where you're going to go until you know where you are today and what you need to do, within the next 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, to kind of move you a little bit closer in the direction that you want to go. And so I have a whole boot camp on this topic, but one of the key performance indicators that I feel strongly about and that I talk about a lot in my boot camps. And this was a term that the late Mike Cullen used to talk about all the time, was the MSP burn rate. I don't know if you've heard of that, Fernando.
I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Cullen talked about that all the time with MSPs. And so for anybody that's not really sure what I mean by that, it's, I think, probably the most important KPI to track, because once you know it, there's so many components of it, so many levers that you can then kind of dig into to see what you can do to begin proving it. And so the burn rate is really, from a simplistic standpoint, it's when you take all of your operating expenses, all of your overhead, and you're ensuring that they're covered by all of your monthly recurring revenue that comes from your managed services line of business. And so if you can get above one, if you can get your burn rate higher than 1, it just means that every dollar of non-recurring services and every dollar of hardware margin, you get the benefit because that's going right to your bottom line. But if you are below your burn rate, meaning that you're below 1, it means that you're not bringing in enough recurring revenue from the managed services line of business. And so you're relying on that non-recurring stuff to pay the bills just to break even. And so, if you've never benchmarked yourself before, if haven't really done a whole lot of metric setting before, then that burn rate is a really good one to start off with first, because then if you recognize that, there's 2 ways to improve it. You can grow your managed services revenue on one end, so you can bring in more recurring revenue, or and also work on what you can do from an operational perspective, what Jason was talking about, to improve your profitability overall.
Now, I hear you mentioning boot camps a lot. Both of you mentioned boot camps, so I'm figuring that you guys have a lot, because MSPs are struggling with already being efficient, and it's impacting their profitability, like you just mentioned. So, are those the resources you're talking about at Enable Offers? Are these boot camps, and how long are they, or is it depend on on this topic? What can potential clients of yours, new clients,
Yeah.
expect at these from these resources?
Yeah, so I know Jason will have probably some thoughts on this as well, but our boot camps, every head nerd has their own area of expertise. So there's 7 of us, and we each focus on something different. And part of our role as head nerd is to create training. And we are kind of one to many. As Jason mentioned, we have 25,000 partners around the world globally. So we develop these boot camps that are delivered live. Pretty much we have a boot camp going every day, delivered by one of us, but they're also recorded and made available for Enable partners within our Enable U. That's just part of our partner portal. But all of my boot camps, they're really focused around MSP growth. How can you build a better MSP? So I have, I think, about 14 different boot camps that I've developed, kind of focusing on the whole sales and marketing, program development, pricing strategies. As Jason mentioned, he does all the End Central and patching and monitoring and automation type of boot camps. We have Lewis, who does all of his security boot camps on really geared towards helping MSPs improve their security posture. He also is very knowledgeable and does training on our different security products. We have Eric, who's our Cove data protection. He's again been in the the backup business for over 30 years. So each of us designs and develops and delivers our own set of boot camps based on our own expertise. Boot camps are generally, mine tend to be a little bit more long-winded, are probably around a couple of hours each. But then there is the ability to kind of just listen to it on demand, and then you can, fast forward beyond some of my droning sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah, but that's just one resource. We also write blogs. We have the automation cookbook that the guys put together. I have my co-managed digital playbook. I'm working on a how do you sell security playbook right now. So we're just full of content that we produce and make available, not just to Enable partners. Our mandate is to make our information, our training available to any MSP that's looking to improve their business. Because when you have a strong industry, a knowledgeable industry, and rising tide floats all boats, that's good all the way around.
Yep. No, I agree.
Not sure if
Well,
Jason has anything else he wants to add to that.
No, I
yeah,
think
Jason.
you summed it up pretty good there. I mean, selfishly, I will plug one of my boot camps. I'm actually, doing an AI boot camp with a really knowledgeable AI expert on May 22nd. So if you want to go over to n-able.com/events and register there, it's going to be my first kick at the can around AI, but we're going to really be talking about kind of a step-by-step guide on how to implement AI. So hopefully that will be a fun one.
I may actually register for that one, Jay. See what I can learn.
Okay. I think Nicole will do most of the talking. Nicole
Okay.
Reineke. So
All right.
Nice.
Well, guys, that's a wrap for me. Unless Gregory wants to add something or have it, or
No,
he
it's very
has any questions.
educational. I learned a lot.
All right. All
Good.
right. Well, guys, I appreciate again one more time. I want to thank you both for joining us today. We'll be publishing this and sharing it in our MSP Corner group, and we'll be promoting it in our newsletter. And the goal is to get you guys more clients, right? More MSPs that are signing up for your products. So again, thank you for joining us.
Oh,
Pleasure's
thank you
mine.
for
Thank you.
having us and giving us the opportunity to speak. Thoroughly
You
enjoyed
got it.
it.
You got it. You
Perfect.
got it. All right, guys, thanks for listening. And don't forget to sign up to be a member on the mspcorner.com. Please share our link with a CEO or business owner who will find our information beneficial to their business. Have a great day. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to sign up to be a member on www.mspcorner.com. Please share our link with a CEO who will find our information beneficial to their business. Have an awesome day.